Excuse you, my man. You want to help us with the introduction today? Yeah? Hi. We're not going to cut that. Welcome to GGP number 3, the Global Grind Podcast. Today's episode is going to be something that I promise you, stick with me. It's going to sound very elementary, but I promise you it is extremely important. It is the foundation for everything. And as you know, here we're about principles, not methods. We are about applying things that change the whole, without us having to overthink and have so many things that we can't manage. And we are into treating the root cause, not the symptom. So that being said, this is breathing. I have picked this theme up over and over again from self-help books, from combat athletes, from athletes in ball sports, from monks, from religious texts, you name it. And this is my belief. I actually picked this up breathing over COVID. I had some extra time, of course, then, and was getting into mindfulness training, and I read a book that, as I alluded to last podcast, that talked about our monkey brain, and kind of made me realize that I don't have control of my brain as much as I thought I did to choose when to use this invaluable supercomputer of an instrument, but that it actually was kind of running on its own a lot, and that's why I started a mindful practice. For those of you that missed that, go ahead and sit in silence, close your eyes, and see if you can control the thoughts that pop up in your head, and you're soon going to have the realization that I have, which is that this world has kind of changed our brain, and we're always looking for the next thing. It's all quick, and some of that is natural, but we do need to train to be able to be at our best place. And what I learned from breathing, about breathing, was a technique called box breathing. And essentially what this technique is, it's also referred to as warrior breathing. Hickson Gracie talks about this, if anyone is familiar with him. If not, especially you guys out there, definitely look him up. Maybe considered to be the best fighter of all time. And I think people, athletes, whether it's and first responders, firefighters do this. Athletes under high pressure situations, monks are doing this that are trying to be at the highest level of consciousness that they can, right? This is something that I found, again, is very, very universal. And your breathing, blinking, our heart beating, we have a lot of things in our body that are subconscious, right, without us thinking about them. And I believe that the illusion with breathing is that it's one of the quote-unquote subconscious things that we actually need to be conscious of if we want to be at our very best. If you aren't conscious of your breathing, what happens is that you breathe short and shallow. And so it's like a less intense version of hyperventilating all the time. And you take that and compound it for years, and what happens is that essentially you're in a stress state all the time where your cortisol's up. And you feel terrible. I mean, you do. And what I realized with breathing is that if I breathe a certain way, this regulates my heartbeat. It allows me to pick up body language cues. It gives space in the conversation to where you're actually listening to what the other person is saying and not already trying to reply. So, and that's another thing. And I don't think, very, very rarely do people actually listen. You can't actually listen if you're already thinking of a reply. And I think that's natural for a lot of human beings. And again, this is why I think it's such a root cause, because it's lowering my cortisol, it's lowering my heart rate, it's allowing me to see things that I wouldn't see before, because I'm giving my mind, instead of saying, just focus or whatever, I'm giving it a task. It wants to have something to do, but this thing that I have it do, focusing on my breathing, being deep and slow, 4 second in, little 4 second hold, 4 second out, little 4 second hold. That's what I'm doing in between every weightlifting set. That's what I'm doing when I'm conversing with people. That's what I'm doing when I am working on things. And it takes day in, day out training to get molded this way, to make this become your rhythm. This then is the rhythm that you are in when you are sleeping at night. Your REM sleep is increased, your recovery is there, your reaction times are better when you are playing sports. And like I said, it's just such a big thing to give space to actually be listening. And I think this is something so easy and is the foundation of mindfulness that will absolutely have an effect in your life in its entirety in a positive way. And that's why I'm super big on breathing. So just something I wanted to put out there to you guys. Super simple. Look up box breathing, look up warrior breathing. And absolutely the thing is you don't just apply it when you're meditating. You don't just apply it during your mindful practice or whenever you're doing it. It is a 24-hour all day long. And I guarantee you, you will forget and you will have to remind yourself of this all the time. I'm not saying that I am great at always doing it, but I am constantly, all day. It is my number one focus. And I promise you, once you feel what it is like to live and work and experience and listen and converse and how you will really feel at your best, and the clarity that you have from that and the precision you have from it, you'll never want to go back. That's the first thing today. So next, again, I want to keep it short and sweet. I had something kind of come to my mind a few days back, which is that patience is a virtue. So, and this is what we'll close with. Everything's a mindset. I feel like what breathing will do and how I'm connecting these two things is that when you are breathing, it's going to give you the fertile soil, so to speak, needed to be able to apply these things, to be able to change your mindset, to be able to create better habits, to be able to create better relationships. And so that's why I think that was the prelude that I wanted to start with today. And the mindset injection that we're going to have is that patience is a virtue. And I think that gets misconstrued. And by it being a virtue is because of this. To me, there's two mindsets that we can have. We can have this mindset of, and I think this is kind of how this gets misconstrued. Patience is a virtue that, like, hey, we got to sit back and wait for things to come to us, right? Like, it's going to be in its due time, which sure. But I think what happens is that people take that as like, hey, I'm going to do nothing. And that's, or maybe even not do enough. That's not true. And I think the mindset to have is, hey, you know the things that you can control and the things that you can't. Let's focus on the things that we can control. Do things the right way. Do them with the right intention. Have a good conscience and pursue things with a very high character and good due diligence. But then know that the patience being a virtue is that, hey, this is connected to our purpose, to being present and not worrying so much about, hey, when's it going to come? Because that's pulling us out of the present. That's what breathing does, is when you're being conscious of your breathing all the time, you have to be conscious of that. So you cannot be conscious about worrying too much about the future or worrying too much about the past. It literally puts you in the here and now, in the present. And again, whether it is sports performance or high level business, religion and mindfulness, for those of you that like to say more spirituality, that's great too. Like whatever it is, right? There's all these different languages and different things. That is something that always comes up, and that is a resonating principle, and that is presence. And that's where we're linking breathing with it. Mindset wise, I want to close with this today. You can be of the belief, and I feel like as you live life and experience, you kind of find this like, hey, and it is a truth. We're all super insignificant in the grand scheme of things, right? We're all very small. But I feel like everything has a double-edged sword. At the same time, if you have that mindset and believe that you're insignificant and that you're not on a path and you don't have a purpose and some of these things aren't meant to be and that there isn't destiny and that everything is random, right? But who's to say what's fact or fiction? But here's what I can tell you. One mindset will make you be better and feel like you're doing things for a reason and try to pursue a higher level of consciousness and have good character and faith and knowing what you are doing and what everyone's unique path is. That, yeah, separate and as individuals, they might be insignificant, but all together, if this is the collective consciousness that your family has, that your friend group has, that your gym has, that your community has, that the state has, that the country or the world has, this is how we change everything. Is all of our own unique paths and purposes and pursuits. If we are aligned and pursue those together and know, hey, maybe as individuals it could kind of be a little bit insignificant, but if we are all pursuing our own individual unique paths together, that is how you have a collective consciousness and a purpose that absolutely will change the world. And I just had to ask myself this: if I was going to live one way and know that it's all random, or think that it's all random and that it's insignificant, or another way where I'm like, hey, I have a reason for being here, I have a reason for doing what I'm doing, and what I am doing is going to have an effect that's going to, really be instrumental in having some sort of a change. Whether I get to live that out and see it or not, what I am doing matters. I know which one is going to give you a better life. I know which one is going to give you a better mindset. I know which one will give you better energy and motivation to get up out of bed every day and make yourself better and make other people better, your children, your spouse, your friends, and just to radiate good energy and maybe not force change on each other, but to have this energy inside you that you can't explain, where you want better for yourself. It is a mindset. That is why patience is a virtue. Because when you know that you are aligned and it does matter, and you are present and you are taking care of what you can control in the present, and doing all the controllables, but letting go, so essentially rowing the boat, but letting higher powers and just kind of divine path and purpose work its due diligence and time, you have trust, right? And trust is a huge thing in relationships and everything. And you have to have trust within yourself. You have to have trust within this bigger picture, right? That we all don't need to necessarily understand, but when you have lived a little bit, and I can say that at the ripe young age of 29, that I have lived enough now to have enough experience that life has taught me. I definitely don't know much, but what I do know is that there is a bigger picture, that what you do on a day in, day out basis does matter, and this is the thing that separates people. And I don't like the term successful, because that is different for everybody. That definition is different, but we're all trying to be happier. We're all trying to live with less stress and to do better for ourselves and others. I think that's something we can all agree on. This will help you get there. And when you understand that how simple it is to focus on being present and just doubling down on not veering off of that day in, day out, doing some of those 4 things that we talked about: exercising, building your temple, meditation, eating good foods, right? Getting good sleep, journaling, and having good goals, and you apply this with day in, day out present, and then trust that it's going to come and it's good timing. That's the mindset that you need to have, and the mindset that you want to adopt, the little things you want to focus on, like breathing day in, day out, to be able to lay your head down on the pillow every night and know that you're moving in the right direction. All right, you guys. So that being said, I have my main man here in our introduction. We're also going to be here in the conclusion. It's lunchtime. For him, it's nap time. We're going to go ahead and clock out here for a bit, but I appreciate you guys very much for tuning in to episode number 3. I hope that you guys, again, found value in this. I know it's definitely a little bit more, what would you say, trying to articulate the right word. I don't want to say out there, but it's kind of like intangible, and I think those things that are unseen are the most powerful. And when you realize that at the end of the day, You can go try to do all these things to change yourself, but if you're not changing right up here inside here first, it ultimately is for nothing. And it won't be sustainable. And that's why our belief and our motto with RPT, which was my very first business, and our gym, is that we are changing the world the only way that it can be changed, one individual from the inside out. And ultimately know that the choice to change has to be made by the one and only you. So here's to changing from the inside out, controlling what we can control, and making the world a better place. Matt, Global Grind podcast number 3. Follow me, and we got Winnie napping on the floor. We're out. Have a great day, guys.